Hello everyone, good evening, welcome to data structure session. Yes, please confirm if you can hear me. Okay, so have you completed that note part? Anyone completed the note part? Calculating notes, minimum note. Okay, so let's first open the code blocks and try that notes part here. And then we will start with the next topic.
सर
Yes,
आपने जो होमवर्क दिया था उसमें मैक्सिमम नोट्स निकालना था तो ऐसा
minimum.
ओके
Minimum notes, not maximum.
ओके सर
Yeah, so what is your query? What is your query then? 19, okay, 2021 data structure. So the question is nodes demo, let's say dot cpp. We have to calculate minimum nodes for that amount. So hash include iostream, then using namespace std int main. And here if I have, let's say, any amount, int amount is equal to 4200. So how you are going to apply the logic? Anyone tried the logic? Yes, anyone sent me mail, completed this homework? Yes, anyone tried this? How you can solve this? How you can find out the minimum notes for this amount? Yes, what we have to do here? Yes, no one has idea how to check minimum notes required. So first of all, we have to check whether this amount is more than 2000. If it is more than 2000, so we will divide this amount by 2000 to check how many notes are there of 2000. Okay, so here you will get let's say answer or 2000 notes. Just declare this on top. 2000, 2000. Then we have 500. You can create variables like this. Then you can also try different logic for minimizing, but first this one is easy I think to understand, so we'll try this. 2500, then we have 100, then we have 50, then we have 100, 50, then 20 is there, correct, and then 10 is there. Is there any remaining, any note remaining? Denomination 2500, 150, 200 is there. Yeah, 200 is remaining. 200, 200, then 150, 20, and 10. Correct. So there are total 7 8 different denomination we have. If amount is more than 2000, so divide this and store it in 2000 variable. And then you also have to amount is equal to amount modulo 2000. Modulo is used for remainder. So let's say 4200 is the amount. Okay, 4200 is the amount. So is 4200 is more than 2000? Tell me yes or no, true or false. Yes, true. So then 4200 divided by 2000, what is the value? 4200 divided by 2000, 2. And 4200 divided by 2000, what is the remainder? What is the remainder? 200. So now first we divided our amount by 2000. We got the 2000 notes. Amount is now decreased to 2000. It is decreased now to 2000. Understood? Now we will again check this amount is more than 500 now. 2000 it's divided. Now is the amount is more than 500. If it is more than 500, so we'll do this. We'll then divide it by 500 and store it in variable 500. Or you can, if you want, you can just print it. Okay. Uh, yeah, we can also print it there. And then here divide by 500. But we have to, yeah. And then if remaining amount will carry forward and again check whether it is more than 200. If it is more than 200, same thing. So of course you can put then a loop or something later, but currently I'm putting multiple if. So we'll check which is more than 2000, divide this, and then remaining amount is more than 500, so divide by this. If it is more than or equal to, sorry, equal to 500, so then divide by 200. Then take the remaining amount and keep doing this. 100, 100. So first just solve, write multiple lines, 100 lines, but you just get output first, as we have seen yesterday in Tower of Hanoi. So same practice we'll try, just try different things and just get the answer. 200. This one is 500. Yes. Then 50, 20 and then 3 notes are remaining. 50, 20 and 10. So 10, 10, 20, 20 and then 50. That's it. And after then, if any amount is remaining, will not divide further, because so remainder is one important thing which we have to take to find out the remaining amount. If you divide by 2000, okay, you divided, you got 2000 notes, two notes for of 2000 for 4200 amount, but remaining amount you have to do something with that also. Remaining amount 200. So you will take a remainder and then take it further, divide it. If it is greater than 500, otherwise greater than 200. So let's check with 4200 what happens. So is the amount more than 2000? Yes. So how many notes of 2000? 2. And what is the remaining amount? 200. So is 200 is more than 500? No. False. So is 200 is greater than equal to 200? Yes. True. So now we will divide it and we'll get 200 one note, and remaining amount is 0 now, nothing is remaining. So it's greater than 100, no. Greater than 50, no. Greater than 20, greater than 10, no. 200 is remaining. Okay, so let's put 200 also. No, 200 is added, no, sorry, 200 is added. I thought 200 is not added. Yes, so means only these two blocks are going to divide. Only these two blocks are going to execute. The 2000 block because 2000 amount, and 200 block because remaining is 200 amount. If any other amount is remaining, so it will further divide and also get that value. Otherwise, by default, it does not have any value. So let's take a different amount because maybe the logic is wrong. I have just created it after a long time. I used to give this question. I given maybe in 3-4 batches before. So let's check
सर
whether this is working. Yeah.
सपोज अगर यूजर ने 10,000 एंटर किया है,
Hmm.
तो फिर हमको सबसे पहले वो चेक करना पड़ेगा हमारे पास मतलब ग्रेटर नंबर की नोट कौन सी है, तो सबसे पहले हम ग्रेटर नंबर ऐसा निकालेंगे.
Yeah, that's why we started from greater number first. Now greater note is 2000. So we'll see if the amount is 10,000. We'll first check whether it is more than 2000. Yes, because it is more than 2000, divide it by 2000, we got total 5 notes. And after getting 5 notes, remaining amount is 0, completely divided. So now further notes are not going to be executed. And the answer is only 2005 note. This is the best possible minimum notes you can carry for this amount 10,000. This is the
या
best. Yeah.
या सर बट अब मुझे क्या है, मुझे एक एक ऐसा मुझे पता नहीं है कि 500 है, मुझे एक एक नोट से चेक करना है, तो ऐसा एरे लगाएंगे हम.
Yeah, then if you want to minimize, then we will use array na. But first let's check this code is working or not. Then further we can decrease number of lines. See, you can try different logic. Reducing if else code first of all, try this only. Then try putting loop. Then this is a further process. First our target is just to get the answer. And let's check whether this is working with this
So,
amount. Yes.
so we write if in every condition, or we can write else if also.
No. Else means it will not check the condition. So if because I want to check each condition here. If you write else, then what happens? Or else if? So it will check first condition, and if first is satisfy, it will not go to the else blocks.
Oh.
But we want to check all condition here. That's why intentionally I have written if everywhere, every block. Okay. Yeah. So now I am taking a random amount again, 1560. So it is greater than 2000. No, false, will not enter in first block. So is it greater than 500? Yes, true. So divide 1500 by 500. So you will get 3 notes, correct? And the remaining amount is 60. Amount divided by 500. Amount value is 1560. Divided by 500 is 60. Remaining amount. So remaining amount is more than 200. No. More than 100. No. More than 50. Yes. So divide it. So if you divide 60 by 50, you will get one node of 50 and remaining amount is 10. And then 10 is greater than 20. No. Greater than equal to 10. Yes, true. So one node of 10 and 0 amount remaining. So what is the answer then? Answer is, if you want to carry minimum nodes, if you want to carry minimum nodes for this amount, so you have to carry 500 notes, then 150 note and 10 rupees note. This is the minimum notes you can carry for this amount. So there is no more minimum option we have. This is the list notes you have to carry for this amount. 4-5 notes you have to carry for this. 1, 2, 3, yeah. For 6, I haven't count, but 6-7 notes we have to carry. So at the end, what you will do now, first of all, give all the variables equal to 0. I think this is possible in C++. Let me try this syntax. See, this syntax is available in some languages, and I think so it is available in C++. See what I'm trying. Otherwise we have to write them manually. See what I'm writing here is all the variables. 2000 equal to 500, 500 equal to 200. Every variable I am giving one value 0. So by default all the values are 0. So by default all my variable values are 0, and after whatever the calculation will calculate, that will be the value of variable. So if you enter 1500 amount, so there will be 3 notes of 500. So this variable value currently is 0, but it will change to 3 later when we execute code. So one extra variable is there. Sir, one extra variable is there. What is one extra variable? What is the name of it?
Sir, 50 is extra.
50 is extra. Okay, thank you. 50 is extra here. And 100 is also extra then. Yes, correct. So we have now 2500, 200, 150, 20, 10. Correct. Now let me check names here. We have 2500, 200, 150, 20, 10. Correct. So let's check now whether it is working. We have to print all variables. So you can now print 2000, 2000. Then 2000. Then 500. Okay, or if you print it there only, it would be better. "100" spelling is wrong. Okay, because if you print it there only, if it enters in a block, it will print there only. Why to print later? Okay, so why to print 0? Just print only those which are executing. So here you can print message 2000, 2000. See, writing one by one takes time, but this is the best way of understanding the program. And then later you make it less line, but it will become complex also. If you put less lines, you will understand, because you first just try to get output, then you can reduce lines. So this is 10. This one is 20. 20 notes. Okay, so just check if I make any mistake here. 50 notes. 100. 200. 200, then 500. And then 2000 notes. So yeah, I hope everything is correct now. So we'll print this, and I also told you to print total, but first just try this one. See, this syntax is giving error. I think we have to put comma, not equal to. This is in Python. Comma, comma, equal to 0. Syntax is different, but it is possible. Yes. So everything equal to 0.
सर
Yes.
अभी उसने कैलकुलेशन नहीं किया इसलिए आपने वैल्यू 0 दिया है ना?
Yeah, because I was actually thinking that we have to print these variables, right? So if they don't have any value, so by default they should have 0. So for example, for 1500 amount, there is 0 note of 2000 denomination. So it should have 0 value default in the variable. Otherwise it will print something wrong out in the output.
Okay, sir.
But I think it will not give 0 value. It is giving error. Comma will also not give 0 value to all. So it's giving 500 was
semicolon or comma.
Sorry,
Semicolon or comma in the 7th line.
in the 7th line. Yeah, this is the problem. This was the problem. Correct. Very good. So this was the problem. We have to write equal to, and here semicolon was required because of first variable. This variables were getting error. Now still this syntax is giving error. 2500, these all are not int. So I think we have to declare them and then give the value same. Let's try this. First just declare them all. Just declare all variables and then copy them together, and then we'll try to give zero value. Let's check whether this is working. Equal to equal to equal to. It's working. Okay, it's working. So now you can see here 500. So for 1560 amount, I have taken sample. You can take from user now, but first I have taken. So whenever we try logic, you just take your amount first. 500 notes 3, correct? 50 note 1 and 10 note 1. So total we want 4, 5. 5 notes, minimum 5 notes required for this amount. Now you can just take data from user. If you want, enter amount. Then scene in amount, and also print the total, how many total notes required. So total notes required in total is equal to 200, 2000 plus 500 plus 100 plus 50 plus 20 plus 10 and equal to total. So here that's why I use 0 default. So we know that for 1500 amount there will be 3 nodes of 500, 1 node of 50 and 1 node of 10, right? So when we add them together, it will give total nodes required. Let's see, it's working. Enter amount 1560. So it's showing 500 nodes 3, 50 node 1, 10 node 1, and total number of nodes required are 5. So it's giving correct answer now. Total number of nodes 5, because all other nodes are 0. Na? 2000 node is 0, 100 node 0. So only 550 and 10 node is there. So added together and we got the total nodes. So this is a complete answer now. Finally, we got our target. That is a complete answer. Now you can try to reduce code, but first anyone has any doubt here? So this is means logic. If you have tried this using different logic, then also no problem. If you try subtracting amount or something, that is also correct. You can try different ways. So I just try this option. So there are different options. Like one time when I tried this demo, I subtracted a value or something. This is a better. Sir, what will happen if we don't declare 0 value? So there is no problem if you're using other languages like Java, Python, C#. By default, they have 0 values only. All variables have 0 values if you declare inside class. But in C++, it takes garbage value. It will take 5 lakh, 8 lakh, 2000, minus 2000, something randomly. And then when you calculate your total nodes, you will get somewhere minus 5 lakh nodes required for 1500 around. So which is wrong. So that's why I declared all variables as 0 value. Understood? So by default, we should have variable as 0. So whatever it will calculate, then it will total. So currently 500, 3 nodes, 50, 1 node, 10, 1 node. So total 5 nodes, and other values are 0. So they're not affecting our calculation. They're just 0. So anyone has any doubt here? Now who will reduce this code? Actually, I will give you this as also homework. You have to spend time in this and then try reducing the code. Instead of writing multiple if, Can you write a loop? Can you reduce the code? So yes, of course it is possible, because I remember I did this. So it is possible. In one session I tried this. I did this in one session, so I remember it works. You can do this. So you have to spend time, try different logic, whatever you can see. First of all, you have to understand this code now, because this code is created by me. Now I know this logic more than you, because I created this. So you have to first understand this logic, so you can change it in the loop form to reduce lines. Okay, so I'm not adding any loop or something here now, right now here. You will try, and next session we'll discuss again tomorrow, that how to reduce the code. So if you get the answer, I will be happy. If there are different logics, like someone use while loop, someone use for loop, someone has done in 10 lines, someone in 5 lines. So I'll be happy to see different logics. So try different logics, whatever, to reduce the number of lines. Even if you don't use a loop, and if you reduce line, then also send me your homework. I just wanted to reduce the lines here. Don't just remove curly braces and send me. I don't think so. Curly braces we can remove now, because there are multiple line in if else block. Try to reduce number of line and send me the homework. Okay. So what we are going to try today is, we are going to try, as we discussed last session, we are going to try one sorting. Sorting is nothing but arranging your data in ascending or descending order. Correct? Your data is scattered, you want to arrange in ascending descending order. This is a normal feature of any application. Everywhere we have ascending descending order, price ascending descending, name wise ascending descending. So how we can do it using our coding? So there are three different algorithms already created by mathematicians and programmers. So the three algorithms you can see here, we are going to use bubble sort. The name they have given is bubble sort. The first algorithm name is bubble sort. Second is insertion sort. And the third is quick sort. So there are three algorithms are given for same thing, sorting the data. So which one is the best one? So sometime we don't select the best algorithm, and you cannot select a best algorithm, because sometimes this thing happens. Let's say you have this small amount of data, and if you use bubble sort, it is taking 4 seconds. For because there is 4 data, so let's say 4 seconds. This is what is this bubble. So I'm just taking randomly any time period here. It's not the real time. 4 seconds, let's assume, for this data. Then insertion sort. Insertion sort is also taking 4 seconds for this data. And a quick sort is also taking same amount of time, 4 seconds. Yes. So which algorithm you will select? I told you some factors. The main factor is time. That's why I first compared all sorting algorithm with time. But I found all algorithms are taking same time. Now which algorithm you will select for sorting this data? So we have to see the next factor now. We have to see the memory. So actually bubble sort takes less memory. Let's say I'm writing 2 KB. It doesn't take in KB or MB, but I'm just to now see the memory. I'm writing something here, 2 KB. This one takes 3 KB and this one takes 4 KB. So which one we will use? Of course, bubble sort. But let's say both these two algorithms are taking 2 kbs, then now again there is a clash. Now what you will see, what is the next factor? This is our data. We want to sort it in descending order. Okay, this is not sorted 1 2 3 7. I want to sort it in descending order, and I selected 3 algorithm. I found 3 solutions for the same on internet. I used them. I found they're taking same time. They're taking same memory also. So easy way. Programming efforts is the next. So bubble sort takes only 4 lines. This one takes 10 lines, and this one takes 25 lines of code. So which one you will go with? Now the winner is bubble sort. This is the winner. But I will tell you something. Then you will say the bubble sort is the best sorting. We'll go with bubble sort only. Why to learn the other sorting algorithm? Simple question. This question comes in everyone's mind. Why to use other algorithms? If we have bubble sort is the winner, the best algorithm, no, it's not best. It is best. It was best in that situation, that particular situation. Now see here. Now you have dot 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 thousands of data. And if you have thousands of data, this bubble sort is taking 6 seconds, insertion sort is taking 4 seconds, and quick sort is also taking 4 seconds. Now which algorithm you will select? Tell me. Now there is a clash between insertion and quick sort, not bubble sort. Bubble sort has less lines, but it is only good algorithm for small program, small data. When it comes with the big data, the bubble sort started taking more time than insertion and quick sort. So insertion and quick sort, there is a clashing. And now who is the winner? Insertion sort is winner because same time, but the memory is less, lines is less. So winner is this insertion sort. Best algorithm is insertion sort for that particular situation. It is not overall best every time evergreen best algorithm. No, for sorting. Every algorithm is best algorithm for that particular situation. It's not every time a best algorithm.
सर
Yes.
बबल शॉर्ट हुआ ना क्योंकि वो 2 केबी ले रहा है और उसकी लाइन हो रही है.
The main factor is time. We have to focus time only. First, we will only see time. So time is taken more, will not take that algorithm at all. Whether it is taking 0.5 KB or whether it is taking bits memory, but time it is taken more, will not select the algorithm only. So the main factor we have to focus on time. Then you can go with memory, and finally you can go with programming efforts. Okay. So that's why the winner is insertion sort here. And now see one more situation. You have now, instead of thousands of data, you have lakhs of data. So for lakhs of data, bubble sort is taking 60 seconds. Insertion sort is taking 15 seconds. And this one is taking, let's say, 10 seconds. So now which one you will go with? Now you will again see these two factor, but these two factor doesn't matter. See the first factor, that matters. So don't see the 2 KB, don't see 4 KB or lines here. Now you have to go with quick sort. You write more lines, doesn't matter. You use more memory, but the time is taken less, that matters. So here, because the memory is in our hand, we can increase memory. We can say our app works only in good mobile phones. We can say we can write more lines. That's why the employees are hired. They can also copy paste or generate code, but the time is not in our hand. So we have to focus on time here.
So what are the factors that determine time?
The time is taken by the iterations, number of loops. So currently I just told you that time is taken for bubble sort is more if you have lakhs of data, but we can determine the efficiency of algorithm using like how many loops are there, how like it is going quadratic, nested loops are there, or single loop is there, or there is no loop there. So this determines the time. So currently we haven't seen code, so of course we cannot determine code, but I know the code already, so I just give you example that bubble sort works well for the small amount of data, but if you have medium data, you can go with insertion sort, and if you have very big data, so you can go with quick sort. So now when we go to the coding part, we'll see the code and of course understand the efficiency. So there is no best algorithm you can say for sorting. Okay, there is no best or worst algorithm for sorting. It depends on the situation, depends on the data. So same is written here. Let's read from the book also, same thing. Since there are various sorting algorithms, it becomes important to understand which sorting algorithms to use in a particular situation. To select an appropriate algorithm, you need to consider the following criteria in suggested order. This is important. Execution time is the first main factor. Storage space means memory is the second important factor. And the third is programming efforts, the third factor. Consider situation where the data that needs to be sorted in small in quantity. To sort this data, all the algorithms will use reasonable amount of storage. In addition, the algorithm will execute in reasonable amount of time. Therefore, in this situation, the criteria for selecting sorting algorithms will be programming effort involved, because same time is taken, same memory is taken. So the programming effort matters then. An algorithm that require less programming efforts will be preferred over an algorithm that require more programming efforts. They have also given one example to you. Let's say you can see this folder now. This folder, or let me show you something different. I have one here. I have here one recording. Okay, this is one MP4 file. This is actually one recording file, and it is, what is the size of this recording? 293 MB. 293 MB is the size of this MP4 file here. But in my PC, I have less storage remaining now. So what I will do I want recording also. I don't want to delete it. I want to keep it in my PC, but I want to decrease the storage. So what I can do, right click on that MP4 file. See the size, okay, first 293. And now when I right click and send to zip, if I make it zip file, if you have a folder with multiple file and if you zip it, what happens? The size will decrease. If you zip any folder, just cancel this. Let's take this one, a folder. This one is small folder, 62 KB only, 60 to 70 KB. If I right click and send to compress zip, now see the size. What happened? See the size is half now, less than half, 20 KB only. So what happened? It actually compress your file. Okay, like you compress something in container somewhere. Similarly, it's compress your file, so makes your size less. All the files are there, everything is there properly stored, but it compressed your file, so size is decreased. Correct. But if you want to decrease the size, it will increase the amount of time. If I open this folder, it will open quickly because it's an open folder. But if you open zip file, it will take time first to uncompress it. When you open this WinRAR file, zip file, it actually first uncompress. For uncompressing, it has a code written. So it uncompress first, and after uncompressing, when you open a file also, it will take time. As compared to going to the folder and opening a file is more faster. You cannot see very big difference because it's a small file only now. And even if you have very big file, then it will take somewhere seconds of time. So this is one example which explains that if you try to decrease the memory, the amount is increased. the amount of time, time is increased. And if you want your folder to be accessed faster, so don't zip it, but the memory will increase then. So you have to trade off between these two situations now. So sometimes this situation occurs. Read this passage and let's understand. Consider another situation where the data that needs to be sorted is large in the size. In this situation, the time taken by different algorithm may differ drastically because different order of growth. No, this is the same passage they have written. They have written that if you want, if you have data large in size, so take the algorithm which is taking less time. And if all algorithms are taking same time, because your algorithm is data is small, so you can go with programming efforts. So I think it's not written here, that situation. Let me go to next here then. Where is that paragraph is written? I think written in first chapter, maybe there. Let's go to the first chapter here. Okay, just wait for a minute. Yeah, so I think, yeah, here it is written, the efficiency of an algorithm can be computed by determining the some resources like CPU time, space, and everything. So an algorithm may be extremely time efficient or space efficient. This leads to the situation where in you can reduce the use of memory at the cost of slower your program, or you can reduce the running time at the cost of increased memory usage. This situation is called time space trade-off. Means they are saying that you have one code which is taking more memory but less time, and one algorithm is taking more time and less memory. The same thing which just now Roshni has asked me, bubble sort is taking less memory than same as insertion. So why the insertion sort is winner? Because insertion sort is taking more time. So whenever you have time and space in front of you, if the time is increasing but space is decreasing, or space is increasing, time is decreasing, so this situation is called time space trade off. You have to select one option which is more important for you. So which option you will select? And they have given same example. An example of situation where the time space trade off can be applied to data storage. If data is stored in compressed form, the memory use is less. You can see I just created a zip file. It is taking less memory, less than half memory there. Because of data compression, reduce the amount of space required. However, it is more time consuming because some additional time is taken to run the compression algorithm. Similarly, if the data is stored in uncompressed form, that folder was uncompressed, the memory is used more but the running time is less. So now tell me which one you will select, compressing the file or uncompressing. So actually, if you want to access your file faster, you have to go with folder option only. If you compress it, you cannot access your files faster. So currently this is a small file, so it looks like we can access in same amount of time. But if you have a big file like this is also not very big. If you have GB of compressed file, so you will find taking time opening your zip file. Okay, so in this situation, what I will suggest is you have to go with folder option, even if it is taking more memory, but it is accessing your file faster, which is a good thing. You memory is in your hand, you can put more 500 GB hard disks in your PC, or put 1 TB hard disks in your PC, increase your storage. If your storage is less, no problem in that. But the time is not in our hand. If you are in hurry, and if zip file is taking 5 minutes of time to open, so no one is going to zip the file. Everyone is going to use folder only. So we don't have a time in our hand, but the memory is in our hand. We can handle it. So memory is generally perceived to be extensible, because you can increase the volume of memory of your computer. Time, however, is not extensible. Therefore, time consideration generally override the memory consideration. That's why in the next chapter, you can see this was just first chapter paragraph. I think it was remaining to last time we saw everything, but that paragraph was remaining maybe. That's why the second chapter they have written these factors in order. So you also have to follow these factors in order. First, time is important, then space, and then the programming efforts come into the consideration. So anyone has any doubt here in these three factors? So sometime out of three algorithm, one is the best one in all situation, but sometimes this happens where we have different winners in different situations. So now we are going to try all the algorithms one by one. Sorting algorithm. So let's try the first sorting algorithm now. The first algorithm is called bubble sort. So let's understand what is this bubble sort. They have given here one example. So I will show you directly. You can see this array. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 values are there in this array. You want to sort it. So how you are going to sort? First, we are going to compare first two values. Is 5 is greater than 2? Tell me, is 5 is greater than 2? Yes, correct, right? So if 5 is greater than 2, we will swap it. You can see the values are swapped. Then same thing we will do. Is 5 is greater than 6? No. So don't swap it. 6 is greater than 7? No. So don't swap it. And 7 is greater than 3? Yes. So swap it. So you got this. So what we are doing here, we first matched two index number. If the first is greater than other, so swap it. 5 is greater than 2, yes, we swapped it. Then 5 is greater than 6, no, don't swap it. Swap it means switching the position. 6 is greater than 7, no. 7 is greater than 3, yes, so swap it. How we will do in coding, we will check, but first understand the logic behind bubble sort. So you got this completely, you got this array, and this is called pass 1. This is not sorted yet. You can see it's not sorted. We compared 5 with 2, we swapped it. Then 5 with 6, not swapped because not greater. 6 is greater than 7, no, so not swapped. 7 is greater than 3, yes it is, so swapped it. So after swapping, swapping this entire row by comparing each one value at a time, this has happened, but this is not sorted yet. You can see this value 3, it is in this position which is not correct. It is not sorted in ascending order. So this is called pass 1. Pass 1 means you have to check the entire row one by one, and in pass 1 what they are guaranteeing is, bubble sort is guaranteeing you to get the largest element at the end. You can see after this sort you got the largest element at the end. Can you see? You can try this. If you open a notepad, take three numbers, 5, 3 and 2. Now try this. Is 5 is greater than 3? Yes, so swap it. And then 5 is greater than 2. Now check the next two element. We first two element, now next two element. So 5 is greater than 2. Yes, so swap it. So what happened? In the first pass, you got the largest element at the end. So the bubble sort is guaranteeing you to get the largest element at the end. And now the code is not done yet. This was the first iteration. Now we will do the pass number 2. Pass number 2 means again same thing. Again do the same thing. 2 is greater than 5. No, so don't swap it. 5 is greater than 3. Yes. 5 is greater than 3. Yes, so swap it. So 5 is greater than 3. Yes, you can see swapped. Then again 5 is greater than 6. No. So 6 is greater than 7. No. So we did same thing again. We repeated from start to end again. And now in the second pass, we got the second largest element. So now again we will do the same thing. Now you can see actually your array is completely sorted. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. But still it will continue. This bubble sort has one problem. It will not understand whether your array is sorted or not. It is going to continue the sorting. In first pass it got, let's write it on notepad here. Create your own array. 2, 4, 3, 1 and 5. So we'll start with pass number 1. In pass number 1, 2 is greater than 4. Write fast in the chat, true or false. 2 is greater than 4. No. 4 is greater than 3. Yes, so swap it. Now next, 4 is greater than 1. Yes, so swap it. And 4 is greater than 5. No, so don't swap it. So in pass number 1, what we got? We got largest element, a number in last position. Largest or smallest, whatever you are sorting. Currently we want to sort in ascending order. So we got the largest number in the last position. In the last position. Okay. Now in pass number 2. Now in pass number 2, you just have to focus these 4 elements. Don't see the last element now. You don't have to compare last element because you know already this is the largest number. So we will not take into consideration. Just remove it from your comparison now. Just compare these 4 values. We'll do the same thing now. 2 is greater than 3. No. 3 is greater than 1. Yes. And 3 is greater than 4. No. So that's it. We will not check the last 2 element because we already know the last element is largest. So you don't have to do that comparison. Don't make that comparison. So now what we got in second pass, largest number in second largest number. We got second largest number. Here I will write we got second largest number and here we got largest number. Now you have to just forget about the last 2 digits. Just focus on the remaining which are not sorted yet. So pass number 3. Is 2 greater than 1? Yes, it is. 2 greater than 3? No, it's not. So done. We will not check last 3 because it's already done in pass 1 and 2. So we just check, last 2. We just check 1 and 2, then 2 and 3. And we got third largest number. And now one last pass. Now you can see the problem of this sorting algorithm. The bubble sort has one problem. What is the problem? You can see now your array is sorted, but it has to make all the passes. First, it checked all the numbers. Then it checked 4 numbers in second pass. In third pass it checked 3 numbers remaining. Then in now the fourth pass it will check 2 numbers. So now check, is 1 is greater than 2? No. So we will not sort it. So this was just for formality, but we have to check because the code is created like this, that it will check each pass. And here we got fourth largest number. In first pass we got largest number, second pass we got second largest, third pass we got third largest, fourth pass we got fourth largest, and fifth pass is not required because only one number is remaining. So to whom with we will compare this number, so we are not comparing. So this is how the bubble sort works. This is how the bubble sort is going to sort data. It will make multiple passes, and in each pass you will get one new largest number, which is actually decreasing comparison. In first pass, how many comparison you made? You made n minus 1 comparison. Yes. How many comparison you made? You made n minus 1 comparisons. Now what is n here? N is size. What is size? What is size of our array? Tell me. 5. So 5 minus 1 is nothing but 4. So let's see this. How many comparison you made in first pass? 1 comparison, 2 comparison, 3 comparison, and 4 comparison. Correct? In next pass, the comparisons are decreased. So in next we only made 3 comparison. 1 comparison, 2, and 3 comparison. Why we have not made 4? Because we already know that we got largest number, so we just skip that last number. So that's why we made only 3 comparisons. Then in third pass, how many comparisons? N minus 3 means size minus 3, so 2 comparisons. So in next we made only 2 comparisons, that's all. And the last pass only 1 comparison. So only 1 comparison. So in first pass 1, 2, 3, 4 comparison. Next pass 1, 2, 3 comparison. Next pass 1, 2, and final pass only 1 comparison. So this is how the bubble sort is created. The bubble sort is created like this. So in each pass it guarantees you to give the largest number. If you got largest, then second largest, third largest, fourth largest, and so on. So you will make multiple comparison, depends on how many values you have. If you have more values, so it will make more passes. But in each pass the comparisons are decreasing, and total number of passes you have to make is also fixed. Total number of passes are n minus 1 passes. Means size minus 1. That is 5 minus 1. You have to make 4 passes. It is fixed. You can see how many passes we have made. 4 passes. So the bubble sort says you have to always make n minus 1 passes. N is your size. So 5 minus 1, 4 pass. If you have 6 number, then 5 pass. If you have 100 numbers, so 99 passes have to. But the problem with the bubble sort is, if your data is already sorted, see this data now. This data is already sorted in ascending order. Then also if you apply bubble sort, it will make 4 passes in first comparison. So check again, is 1 greater than 2? No. 2 greater than 3? No. 3 greater than 4? No. 4 greater than 5? No. So it has not shifted any element, but it has to make the pass 1. Understood? So this is the problem with bubble sort. If you want, I will give one more example to you about the problem of bubble sort. Problem of bubble sort is this. Here in pass 1, We'll do 1 is greater than 3. No. 3 is greater than 2. Yes. So swap it. Okay. Done. So you got largest number, but still we will go with pass 2. You know your data is sorted. You can see the data sorted because currently I'm just giving example here. But the bubble sort algorithm, after doing pass 1, it will not stop. It will make the pass number 2. In pass number 2, it will compare 1 and 2. In first pass, it compared 1 and 2 and 2 and 3, and then it got largest number. But now in pass number 2, it will check the first two numbers and take the second largest. So the problem with the bubble sort, if your data is fully sorted or partially sorted, then also it will make same number of comparison which it makes for the unsorted or scattered data. So this is one problem with the bubble sort. It cannot understand because it doesn't have that logic that to understand the data is sorted or not. So it just follow the same procedure every time. If you have 10 data, it will make 9 passes. If you have 101 data, it will do 100 passes. So it is fixed. It doesn't check your data is sorted or not sorted or completely scattered or completely reverse order. It will make same number of comparison each time. So this is a problem actually for bubble sort, because if data is sorted, it has to make less comparison, but it is making same number of comparison. But this is a easy technique to write in C++ or any programming language. It's just 4-5 line of code. Just write 4-5 lines, and this technique will be implemented. So lines wise it is less, but it has one problem in it. Okay. So just wait for 1 minute. I have one file here. Let me check this is running. A flash player is required for this. So I think this is different flash player. So we'll read the here one passage now. To understand the implementation of bubble sort, consider an unsorted list of numbers stored in array. Suppose there are n elements in array, like there are 5 elements in array. So in pass 1, you compare the first two elements and interchange their values if the first value is greater than second, and then you compare the second with third, and then repeat the same till the last element. In the second pass, you just have to do n minus 2. You don't have to compare all elements. In pass 3, less comparison, and so on. Pass n minus 1. So every pass, the comparisons are decreasing. So this is how the bubble sort works. And we'll also write the code now. The code is very easy. As I told you, 4 or 5 lines of code only we have to write for bubble sort. So this is the simplest sorting algorithm we have coding wise. Only 5 lines of code it is. And if you see the concept wise also, it is a simple technique. If you have 10 elements, it will do 9 passes. If you have 8 elements, 7 passes. Anyone has any doubt here in concept? Okay, so now we are going to implement this technique logic in our code. So bubble sort demo. Bubble sort, not demo, it is just bubble sort algorithm. Okay. So how we can implement this logic? So before implementing bubble sort, I want you to solve this simple code. It is related to bubble sort, that's why. Swipe demo. Swipe values demo. And then we can go with bubble sort. It's a simple technique. So I have two variables, int a and int b. What I want is I want to swap the values. I want to switch the values. So a value is 2, b value is 3. I want to make a 3 and b value as 2. So I want to switch their values. How you can switch or swap the values? What logic you can apply here to swap the values? Because in bubble sort also we required this swapping technique. Anyone has any idea how you can pass b value into a and a value into b?
सर
Yes.
एक और वेरिएबल लेंगे, फिर उसमें वैल्यू पास करके फिर उसकी वैल्यू
Correct.
ए में डालेंगे.
Right. So we can take one more variable to store the value of a, meanwhile pass the value of b into a, and then again take that value into b. This is a logic you can use. See, let's find out whether it's working. What is the a value? 2. So the 2 value is passed into t variable. Remember, this is the third variable we are using. Then a b value is 3, which we are transferring to a. And then t value is 2. T value is 2. You can see I have written comment pass to b. Now, if you see these two lines carefully, what is the a new value now? An a value is 3 now, and a b value is 2. So b value was 3, now it is 2. A value was 2, now it is 3. So what we did, we just took a temporary variable, we transferred a value into t, and then same value we passed to the b later. So the a value is transferred to b, and a got values of b. So this is how we can swap the values. If you want to see the output, I will print also. A value is and b value is. So this is what we call swapping. This is required in most of the algorithms. So currently in bubble sort is required because you have seen the concept. We have to swap the values if it is greater than, less than, for ascending, descending. So see, a value is showing 3. It was 2, but it is showing 3. B value was 3. It is showing 2. Why? Because we swapped using the third variable. You can also do without third variable. There are some calculation, but currently this is the easy and famous technique everyone use. So this one is better. Anyone has doubt in here? The swapping technique. So the same technique we will use now in our bubble sort. Okay. So let's create a bubble sort code now. As I told you, it's just a 4-5 lines of code. 6 lines including if else, hash include. So code wise it is very small. Simplest bubble sort is the simplest sorting algorithm we have, because code wise it is small. Int main. So first I am taking one array to sort, int arr, and I will take less values only so we can focus on the concept easily. Okay, 3 values only. I am taking 3 values, and then I am writing here logic. So first I will create complete logic, then I will explain. Okay, int I is equal to 0, I less than equal to 3 minus 3 minus 1, sorry, 3 I plus plus, less than equal to 2. Then int j equal to 0, j less than I minus 1, and j plus plus. If arr of j is greater than arr of j plus 1, so int t is equal to arr of j. Same swapping technique I am using. See, arr of j plus 1 and arr of j plus 1 is equal to arr of j. And now the code is done. Now I am creating one more. I will explain you this code. Yeah, here we have to write T, correct. Very good. I will explain you the code, but let me print the array first. This is just to swap. This is the code to swap, sort data in ascending order, or just sort data. For ascending, descending is same. We just have to change one sign here. The greater you can make less and it will become descending. So first, this is the sorting logic. It's ready. We'll see this now line by line. I'm creating one loop first to display my array to see whether this sorting is working or not. The sorting code is working or not. So see, it's not working. It's not printing 241. It's printing. So something is wrong. Sign something is wrong. 0 to 2. We are printing ARRI. Yes. So let me just check the logic. 0 to 2. 0 plus 1. And then I value is 2. So 0 to 1. Correct. 214 it is. Here I think in indexing something I did wrong. Let me check. J value is 0. So 0 and 1. Then 1 and 2.
Sir, I think it's j is equal to I.
I think here is the problem. J is less than index is the problem. J is less than equal to I. I cannot be there. The size, sorry, size is missing. Yes. That's why saying size is missing. What is our size of array? So that minus I minus 1. Now it's working. So the end value was wrong. Let me make it proper, less confusing. Our last index position is 2 minus I. Yes. Yeah, this looks more better. That 3 minus I minus 1. Instead of that, this one looks better. So let's see now how this code is working. Okay. So first you have to understand this code. There is a one option only. The option is you have to go line by line and you have to understand index. You cannot skip a single step here, and you have to take as much as time you required, but stick on one step. Don't jump on next step. If you miss a step, you will not understand. So be with me and ask me doubt if you have same on immediately on the same step, because if you go one step further, then there will be a confusion. Okay. And be with the values, variable values. This is more important. You know, array indexing is important. Indexing is everything. So first of all, I value is 0. I have written here, note down. J value is what? Write down that 0. So J value is 0, I value is 0, I value is 0, and it will go till that also I will write. It will go till 1, sorry 2. I value starting with 0 and it will go till 2. Why? Because 0, 1 and 2. 2 is the last index position. That's why I is going to start from 0 till 2. Now J variable is started with 0 and where it will go till. Now tell me the calculation. Do the calculation here and tell me the answer. What is the answer? 2 minus I. What is 2 minus I? 1. Okay. Everyone, what is your answer? What is 2 minus I? See the I value and tell me 2 minus I. What is 2 minus I?
सर अभी जो I की वैल्यू 2 है वही लेना है.
Where is I? Is value is 2. The I value is 0 here. The I value we have given is 0. Okay. I value, starting value is 0. It's not 2. The last value is 2 there. Okay. So I value is 0. So if you do 2 minus 0, so it will take 2. Okay. So let me write here. Sorry, where I am writing. let me write only one value, not the end value. I value is starting is 0. We started again from a loop. Okay, so I'm again starting. I value is 0, and here j value starting value is 0, and last value also important, so I'm writing last value. 2 minus 0 is 2. So remember and only focus on j now. J value is started from 0 and the end is 2. Anyone has doubt here in this? Because now we are only going to repeat j loop.
So then why we're not taking I final value in J?
I value we are taking, na I value is 0. So 2 minus 0 is 2.
सर
Yes.
आई की हमने स्टार्टिंग वैल्यू 0 ली है, तो जे की वैल्यू 2 की ली, जे की तो स्टार्टिंग वैल्यू 0 है ना सर?
Yeah, j starting value is 0. The end value I have written here too. See, I'm writing, yeah.
एंड क्यों लिया है? स्टार्टिंग वैल्यू क्यों नहीं लिया है?
Starting value I have taken only. Now we are going to repeat the code now. So where we will stop, that I have mentioned here. So we will remember then where we are going to stop. Okay. Understood this? So I value starting is 0. Yes. And j starting value is 0 only. But I have mentioned what is the end value. So we will stop on that number. So currently j value is 0. Remember this. I am writing here. Currently j value is 0. Let me write here in separate comment. Current j value is 0. This is just a range. And here also let me write then same. I value is starting is 0. The end value is 2. And here I am writing current I value is 0. Yes. So now let's start. Remember I value is 0 now. You can see I have written here. And a j value is also 0. Remember this. I value is 0, j value is 0. Now ARR of 0. Tell me what is ARR of 0? What is ARR of 0?
2.
2. Very good. And then ARR of j plus 1. J value is 0. So 0 plus 1 is 1. So what is ARR of 1? We have only 3 values. Tell me first. 4. Correct. Tell me what is the answer? 2 is greater than 4? False. So because it is false, we are not going to enter in the if block, and then again continue with the inner for loop. Remember, this is the programming concept. Whenever you insert in the inner loop complete first. So it will again go on the for loop. And now what is the next j value? We did not enter if block because if block not satisfied. We will come back in the for loop. For loop next value, j value is 1. Okay. Now again we'll try. ARR of 1. ARR of 1 is what? 4. Is greater than ARR of 2. J value is 1. Na? So 1 plus 1, 2. So what is ARR of 2? So is 4 greater than 1? So answer is true. Yes. So because it is true, this is the same logic I have written for swapping the code. So it will just swap the code now. This is 1 and this is 4. Done. So we swap the values now 1 and 4. Now after swapping the value, again we will continue the for loop. Now what is the next j value? 2. J value was 0, then it was 1, and now it is 2. So again we'll try. Okay. So yeah, again I think we don't have to try. We don't have to actually check the last element. So we can write here -1. So it should go only till 1. So we checked 0 and 1 first, and then 1 and 2. That's it. So I just added one more -1 there because I don't want to check the last element. Only 2 iterations is enough. We checked first 2 element, we did not swap, and in the next we swap 4 is swapped to the last element. So yeah, we don't have to check the last element, so I am not writing. Now if you see, yeah, so now if you see here, j value was 0, then next j value was 1, and now the j value is 2. So is 2 is greater than 2 is less than 1? J value is 2 now, is it less than 1? Tell me. No. So 2 is not less than 1, so we are going to stop this loop and then again go to the for loop. So what happened now? We started our I for loop, I value was 0. Then we repeated this loop 2 times and it swapped our value. And after the swapping of value is done, we are back to this for loop again, the main for loop. The inner for loop is done, completed. The value was 0, it is not swapped anything. Then value was 1, it swapped something, and then j value become 2, and we stopped the loop. And after stop the loop, now we back to this main for loop. Now tell me what is the next value of I, because I for loop is not completed yet. I value was 0. Now what is the next value of I? What is the next value of I? 1. Very good. Now this is very important calculation. J variable this time is starting from 0. Now do this calculation and tell me what is the last value of J. Last value of J. Do this calculation thing. Just calculate properly. 2 minus what is I value? I value is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1 and 1 minus 1 is 0. So remember, first pass we already checked 0 and 1 position. We compared 0 with 1 and 1 position with 2. Now we are not going to make 2 iteration. We will only make 1 iteration, because in first pass we made already 2 iteration. In next pass only 1 iteration. So j value started with 0 and end value is also 0. So we will only make 1 iteration. So j value is 0 now. Now again try. ARR of j. What is ARR of j? ARR of 0. Same, 2. And ARR of 1? 1. So is 2 is greater than 1? Yes, it is. So swap it. So it will swap the value. And after swapping the value, next j value will increment to 1, but we will stop here now, because we said j last value is 0 only. If we increment to 1, we are not going to take next value. Stop it here, and after that again go up, and I value will become 2, and here also we don't have to iterate again. So just stop it here. Here also we have to add -1. So I think I given one extra comparison which was not required. So I added -1 in both because the extra iteration was there. So what happened actually, if you see this code carefully, first we started the loop, and this loop repeated 2 times. The inner loop repeated 2 times, and it checked both the numbers, first 2 number and second 2 numbers. In the next iteration, again the for loop started. This time it made 2 iteration, one comparison only. First it made 2 comparison. In the second pass it make only 1 comparison. So why this 2 minus I is written here? This is a formula. If I value is 0, if I value is 0, so 2 minus 0 minus 1, it just repeats 0 to 1, means 2 times. In the next time when the I value increase to 1, so 2 minus 1, 1 minus 1, 0. So the I value is increasing. This j value, the j end value is decreasing. The first iteration j value was, the last value was 1, and this iteration the j value is 0. So your j loop is dependent on I loop. The more I value is, it will take less in the j value. The end value of j is going to decrement. So only one problem was there in the code. which I added one extra iteration here. So in the C++, if you have 3 values in array and you don't have 4th value, but it is allowing. In Java it will not allow, but in C++ is allow. If you have 3 value, if you are making 4th, if you are comparing 4th index also, by default the 4th index is taking garbage value. Otherwise in other language it will give error because there is no 4th index available. So you can see it's working, it's printing 1 to 4. If you just make it less than here, so it will sort in descending order 4 to 1. So you have to decide when you want to swap values, when the values are greater or when the values are less. If you make it less, it will display in descending order. If you make it greater, so it will display in ascending order. So the same code works for both ascending and descending order. So again, if you want to understand this program, you have to go line by line to understand this program.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, please again explain.
Yeah, so I'm explaining this program again. That's why I added one more number. I was adding one more number, but I want you to also try the same thing. You to understand this demo. When I send you the file, you have to write the code. You can write in Notepad also. Sorry, notebook also with paper and pen. Currently, I'm writing here in comments to understand this more code better. Okay. So here the I value is I am writing again. It's 0. Tell me the end value of I. You calculate now and you tell me what is the end value of I. So let me change the size. Now tell me, sorry. Change the size and okay. Please check the calculation and tell me what is the last size. See, 3 minus 1 is 2. So 2 is the answer. So I value is 0 and 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 is the end value of I. And what is the start value? First value, current value is of I is 0. Okay, now let's start again. J starting value is 0. What is the end value of J? Do this calculation and tell me.
सर I की तो वैल्यू लेस देन इक्वल टू 3 है तो I2 कैसे हुआ? I2 3
I
होगा
have
ना सर?
written current value of I is 0. You have to read this comment. Remember this. That's why I'm writing. Current I value is 0 when we started first iteration. So I value is 0, 0 and last value is 2. So 0 is less than 2. We started our loop and our first I value is 0. So do this calculation and tell me what is the end position.
सर I की वैल्यू लास्ट में 2 कैसे होगी? 3 होगी ना? आपने इक्वल टू 3 लिखा है.
3 minus 1 है ना? 3 minus 1 is 2.
Yeah.
You have to see the minus 1 also there. I have written 3 minus 1 is there a reason for that. Here also I have minus 1 for one reason because I want less than whatever the size is. Because when we sort the data, you will sort this to data, then you will sort this to data, you will sort this to data. But after that, there is no this to data with last one. There is no pair with the last number. That's why I did minus 1 there. Yeah, so what is the last value of J here? Very good, 2. So remember I value is 0 and the last value of I is 2. Current I value is 0. We started just now, so I value is 0. J value is 0 and the last value of J is 2. So now do the comparison. Tell me what is array of 0 greater than array of 1. Is this correct? Any confusion here? Array of J. J is nothing but 0. Current value of j is 0. First time we started, so 0. So what is array of 0 greater than array of 1? Array of 0 is 2. Array of 1 is 3. Correct? So is it greater? False. Any doubt here in the first comparison? Any doubt? Anyone? Please ask me now. Okay. So now false is the condition. So we are not going to swap these two value. Just repeat with your inner loop first. Now what is the next j value? 1. Next j value is 1. So now write ARR of 1 greater than ARR of 2. So what is ARR of 1? 3. And ARR of 2 position is 1. So is 3 greater than 1? So 3 greater than 1? Yes, it is. So swap it. Done. Now again repeat the loop then. Next j value is 2. And j value 2 is valid because we said already the end value is 2. Okay. So now ARR of 2 is greater than ARR of 1. 3. Sorry. ARR of 2 greater than ARR of 3. ARR of 2 greater than ARR of 3. So 3 is greater than 8. False. So now we will not swap the value. Don't swap value. And again continue. The inner loop. Now the next j value is 3. But now we will stop the loop. We will not enter the loop because we already said j last value will be 2. And now the j value becomes 3. So what we are going to do? J loop stopped, finished, end. And we already done with our comparison. We done this comparison also. Done. So this loop is stopped now. We will move to the main loop now. Back to the main loop. Okay. Now tell me what is the next value of I. I value was 0. We started the loop. And now the I value will become 1. And because this loop was stopped, we will again start this loop with 0. If the loop stops and again if we enter in the main loop, so if we enter in the main loop, again it will come to the nested loop and this will start from the fresh. J value starting is 1. Now tell me the end value now. What is the end value this time? What is the end value this time? You are not doing correct calculations. Simple calculation it is. 3 minus I already written 1. 3 minus 1 is 1. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. So this time the end value is decreased. If you take same end value every time, so then there is no bubble sort here. A bubble sort say you are making 3 comparison in first. Next you have to make only 2 comparison, decrease comparison. So how you will decrease? So this is the formula for that. So now the j value is starting with 0. The end value is 1. It's not 2. You can do the calculation and see. Is it 1 or not? Am I wrong or right? Okay. So now here we'll write ARR of 0, ARR of 1. So ARR of 0 is 2 and 1 is 1. So is 2 greater than 1? Yes. 2 is greater than 1? Yes. So swap it. So after swapping done, again repeat your for loop. What is the next I value, j value? 1. J value was 0 and now j value is 1. So again try ARR of 1 greater than ARR of 2. ARR of 1 is greater than ARR of 2. Yes or no? Tell me fast. No. So we are going to stop this if block and again go to the for loop back, and this time the j value, next value is 2. But now again we come to the same situation. This for loop, j value again became 2, but we said already that j end value this time is 1 only, but it became 2. So we will again stop this for loop, and the for loop again ended. The inner for loop is again stopped, and again do the same thing back to the main for loop. Now what is the next I value? The next I value is 2. The I value was 0, the next I value was 1. I had written, I just changed it to 2 now. Now again we will start with this loop because we again entered the main loop. So nested loop will start from a fresh. J value is 0. Now tell me what is the end j value. This time again do the calculation. Tell me the end j value. Very good. It is decreasing. See the formula we use, 3 minus I value is 2 this time, so 3 minus 2 is 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. Means this loop is now going to repeat only one time. Earlier when we started it repeated 3, then 2, and now only 1 time. So the current j value is, is 0. And now check ARR of 0 is greater than ARR of 1. So is ARR 0 is greater than 1? No. So don't swap it, don't do anything, and repeat the loop. Next j value is 1, but 1 is not the proper value. We said already the j end value is 0. So we are going to stop the loop again, finish the loop, stop the loop, and again back to the main loop, again back to the main loop. Doing same thing again, back to the main loop. This time I value increased to 3, but again now here also same thing happened. We said I value, last value will be 2, and it become 3. Now it reached 3. So this loop is also now going to stop, and when the main loop stops, everything ends, because after this loop we have only one loop to display the array now. And what it is going to display? This array, the sorted array. You can see the array is sorted. So this is how the bubble sort is implemented in the loop. The main loop starts, the inner loop repeat 4 times. Then again main loop start, inner loop repeat 3 times. Again main loop starts 2 times, and then 1 time, and finally stop. So the inner loop is repeating and decreasing with each passes. Okay. So the same, yeah.
जब भी I की वैल्यू 3 रहेगी तो ऐसा वो इनर लूप में नहीं जाएगा चेक करने के लिए?
No, we already said I values is equal to 0, or I value you are saying 3.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's check condition now. What is condition? I less than equal to 3 minus 1 is what? 2. So now what is the I value you are saying? 3. So is 3 less than 2 or equal to 2?
No.
So the answer is false. When the false condition comes, it cannot enter inside the block. Whether it is if block or while block or for block, it will not enter in the block only. So that's why it is not inserting in a block. Understood? When the condition get false, it stops. So because we don't want to check condition every time, I had written the end values there, so we can easily understand the code. So when the condition become false, it stops the loop. It cannot enter the loop or enter any block, whether it is if block, switch block, not switch blocks. Switch works on numbers or values. So any block which has condition cannot enter if the condition get false. So at the end you can see it's printing 1 2 3, because I have to change here array size. Yeah, you can see 1 2 3 8. If I just make it less than, then it is printing 8 3 2 1. Understood? So to understand the code, as I told you, data structure requires array knowledge and for knowledge. So you have to work on array indexing. You have to imagine the values in front of you. Means some programmers, they can directly see code and imagine. They don't have to write comments. Now currently you can write comments or write in textbooks line by line code to understand how it is working. And slowly you don't have to write those things, just see and yeah, okay, J is 0, ARR 0. Just see and understand that which value is moving where. So now the bubble sort is created. Bubble sort concept was this. This was the logic, theoretical logic they created, and we implemented this algorithm in our logic in our program, and it is working also. But what is the efficiency of the program now? We have some big O notation we discussed in first and second session. Constant, linear, quadratic, cubic. So what do you think from this code? What do you think? Is it linear, constant, quadratic, cubic? Which type of logic this is? If you have one loop, then it is called linear. If you have nested loop, then it is called quadratic. If you have two loops, one inside another, you can see one loop is repeating 3 times and the inner loop is repeating 3 times. So 3 into 3, they are actually repeating 9 times. You can see one main loop started, it repeated 3 times. Next time it repeated more 2 times. Next time again repeated. So if you have inner loop, it is going to repeat quadratically. Means like a square. 3 into 3, 9. If you have one more loop inside it, so it becomes cubic. This is a simple logic you can remember to find out efficiency. If you have no loop, and if you have formula, it could be constant. If you have one loop, so linear. If you have two loops, so quadratic. If you have three loops, so cubic. And in loop, something is there is one option we have, so it can become also in exponential. So what they are saying here, they are saying that the bubble sort algorithm is of the order O n raised to 2. This is big O notation, and this big O notation is representing quadratic. N means linear, n raised to 2 means quadratic, n raised to 3 means cubic. So this means that the time taken to execute the program is increasing quadratically. Means what? Suppose if you have 100, suppose it takes 100 nanoseconds to execute 10 element. If you have 10 data, it will take 100 nanosecond. Now if the number of element double, that is number of element increase to 20, that your code will take 400 nanosecond. If you have 100 data, then it will take how much time it will take? How much time it will take for 100 data? Tell me fast. If you have 100 data, so it will take 100 square means 10,000 nanoseconds. So it is increasing quadratically, which is 4 times the time taken to execute the algorithm on 10 elements. So this is the worst situation of the bubble sort. But there is also best situation of the bubble sort. What is the best situation we have? No, there is no best situation. Sorry, I forgot. The bubble sort works same whether data is partially sorted, completely sorted, or completely unsorted. So we have only one situation in bubble sort. It takes quadratically. So as we discussed, quadratically means is a very worst situation. If you have only 100 element, it will take 10,000 nanosecond. Means your nanosecond will become millisecond, and slowly those millisecond will convert in second, and then your algorithm will slow down. So the bubble sort is only advised to be used if you have small amount of data. If you have data like 10 element, 100 element, 1000 up to 1000 elements is okay, you can use bubble sort. But if you have more data than that, then bubble sort is not recommended because it will take more time. So 1000 elements means 1000 into 1000, it will take somewhere 10 lakh nanosecond, which converts into second. Actually, if you convert into second, 10 lakh nanosecond, so it is becoming worse situation. So bubble sort is only use, we have to use if you have small. Bubble sort is one of the simplest sorting algorithm. The algorithm has a quadratic order of growth and therefore suitable for sorting small list only. The algorithm works by repeatedly scanning the list It is not scanning a list one time, you can see multiple time it's scanning. So comparing the adjacent elements and swapping them if they are in wrong order. The algorithm gets its name from the way smaller bubble to the top of the list after being swapped with the greater element. Like if you have a soda bottle or if you have something bubbles in a water, so how the big bubbles comes on top or small bubbles, something one of the bubbles actually comes on top, and bigger bubbles, I think, yeah, bigger bubbles are down and smaller bubbles come on top. So that's why they name this algorithm as bubble sort. But this is only used if you have small list. So what is the order of growth of bubble sort algorithm? Remember, it's quadratic, not constant. It is increasing time and it is not linear. It is increasing time quadratically. So here I will write order of growth is O n raised to 2, means quadratic. The best case in this program, we have only one best case, that is same quadratic, and worst case is also same. So there is no option like it will take less amount of time if you change data or something, it will take same time. If you have less data, also quadratic. If you have more data, also quadratic. If you have sorted list, also quadratic. Unsorted list, so if your array is already sorted, then also it takes same comparison. So best and worst case are same, but in other algorithm this situation is not there. If your data is already sorted, other algorithm will not make any comparison only. Understood? The other algorithms will not make comparison, so they are going to take less comparison compared to bubble sort. So that's why we are going to now see in next session other sorting algorithm. So other sorting algorithms also have same order of growth like quadratic, but if your data is already sorted or partially sorted, then they are going to make less comparison and they have different techniques to reduce comparisons. That's why it takes less time. The other algorithm, this algorithm is simple to write, but its order of growth is very problematic for us. So use only for small list. For small list it doesn't matter if you have 1,000 of data, and if take 2-3 seconds doesn't matter. But if you increase data and it take minutes, then it will matter. Correct? So don't use for a big list, use only for smaller list. Any doubt here? So I already shared the student ID password of this DSA book. So you can go through this second chapter once. And I want you to try the same demo. And I already gave you one homework, that note 1. You can reduce the number of lines in that note demo. Swipe demo, note demo, and bubble sort. So only 2 demos we have seen today, bubble sort and the homework question. So I'm sending all 3 to you. Have you used the link I gave you? I gave you an ID password, no? If you open that ID password, so you will get book there. You have to type data structure, data space structure. Don't type DSA. So I also opened same website now to show you the book. I log in with same user account. I search data. I found data structure book and I opened. So this ID password is sent. You can use this temporary ID password until you receive your ID password. Okay, so the attendance link is not activated yet. I will mark attendance from the backend. So in Zoom account, I get information who connected, at what time connected. So I will mark from the back. So try the node homework demo and this bubble sort demo, and see you in the next session then tomorrow. I'm ending the
Sir?
meeting now. Yes.
सर वो जूनेट से मुझे पूछना था एसक्यूएल सर्वर कैसे
Your
डाउनलोड
voice is not clear. Please check.
सर मुझे वो पूछने का था कि एसक्यूएल सर्वर कैसे डाउनलोड करना है
SQL, you can ask in SQL batch actually. You started with SQL batch.
यस
Hello.
हाँ सर
Yeah, you have to ask then SQL faculty in SQL session. So sir can help you with that. Okay. Because maybe sir is using different software, so sir knows well better there. Okay. Yeah. So I'm ending the meeting now. Thank you everyone. Bye.